This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Colley.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Just Nuggets Podcast. JJ's, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It is a brand new year. We got the Just Nuggets going live. Christoph Yalic is in the building. How you living?
What up, man? How you guys doing?
Doing well.
We're doing well.
How could we not now? You know, the Nuggets have been playing a lot better.
Yes.
And as this podcast goes, we go with the mood of the Nuggets.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, the Nuggets are playing really great basketball. They just won 4 straight.
Yep.
They beat Dallas twice, so we'll get into a little bit of the Dallas. But what did you see I guess I should start. What did you see from last night in the Dallas game?
Well, since the last time we were on and, they were just trying to struggle, they were struggling to get back to some semblance of them. You didn't know if it was that their bench was not doing as well as we would hope. It wasn't that Russ wasn't getting, comfortable or put into the system, as fast as we would hope. I don't know what it all was, so we finding out that some of the players that they put into the pieces weren't, developing as fast. I don't know what it was, but it got fixed. I think it's definitely a big change in my mind since last time we were on.
Yeah.
And it came because a lot of them are healthy.
And just for the record, it's January 15th. The Nuggets played last night, January 14th.
Yes.
Beat the Mavericks 118-199 in Denver, correct? That was
in Dallas.
Both of them. They was back to Dallas. Okay, so they won 2 in Dallas. Christoph, what was your thoughts on last night's game?
Jamal Murray,
32
in the first half. That kind of really set the entire mood. He finished with 45.
Yeah.
And I know this was the breakout that a lot of people in the national media, as well as local Denverites and local Nuggets fans, have been looking for, and they expect Jamal to be kind of, some semblance of this.
But not as just Nuggets fans. We knew and believed in Jamal.
No, the thing about Jamal, I think when the lights are on, he'll be bright.
Yeah.
So I don't discredit him or shortchange or short-sighted about his ability.
Right.
So when games like that come on and he has 32 in the first, 45 total for the game, was going for 50 there, it just didn't happen. The outside world starts to be like, oh, this is what Jamal is, and Jamal should be doing this with it. If you're a true Blue Nuggets fan, you know that when you get those nights, it's perfect, but Jamal really shines in April, May, June.
Yeah.
And that's what we want him to be. And if you want him to average 25 a night, sure. If you want to be an all-star game, sure. I'm a Nuggets fan that has tasted what a championship tastes like.
Yeah.
And I'm just about staying healthy and getting there because obviously, as you saw last season, you can have Game 7 at home and still lose.
And because we wore them out,
doesn't really matter to me necessarily. I think just winning and winning and winning is all that matters. And when he looks like he did last night, the Nuggets are pretty close to unstoppable.
He was amazing.
Do you think that the Nuggets are the favorite if Jamal is if we know who he is as this player?
Absolutely.
Should still be the favorite in NBA.
Absolutely.
I agree.
We have the 3-time MVP. We got a dog in Jamal who comes to life, like you said, comes to life at the end of the season or when the lights are the brightest, pick one. And, we harken back, we talked about this, and we talked about this yesterday when he was just hitting shots and doing his thing, that, he showed up in Game 7 when we got really, the end of the line.
He led the Nuggets in Game 7.
There you go.
Yeah,
so
people
forget that. So he literally led the team in scoring.
The kid is the kid, and he's and so the trade talk and the, oh my goodness, he's not who he used to be talk can just end now. Is it enough? Either you have faith in him or you don't.
What do you think about him and Shaq? Because remember how Shaq was like, I need to see you play better. And Jamal actually, I would say he did a good job on the interview.
Yeah, he did
after the game. He said, I haven't played as great as
owned it.
As I've played.
He's accountable.
He knows he basically said, the Nuggets run through Joker. That's obvious.
Yeah.
But I essentially am the engine of this team.
Yeah.
When I get going, no team in the NBA can beat us. Essentially, is what he was saying. And I think, but how do you agree? What do you think of the Shaq comments?
I think the Shaq was seeing what he saw, what he's been seeing, and he's not wrong. And Jamal owned it. We just talked about it. It wasn't like that early on. It is now. But if you watch Jamal long term, as long as we have, as long as he's been here with the Nuggets, you know he shines at those moments. You know he has it in him to just at those top moments when everybody else are shirking, he's not. He's going to be in the front row doing his thing. So that's what Shaq didn't factor in. That is he healthy or some other reason why he's not being himself.
And I think the Shaq is just one of many.
Oh yeah,
a lot of
he
people just
definitely
don't
is.
factor that in,
Mm-mm.
where they overvalue it. And the overvalue comes with its,
Yeah.
factualities because at the end of the day, when Jamal's on like that, if
Yeah.
he's able to average 25 points a night, 20,
Yep. His
mid
coach,
20s, the Nuggets are a much better team.
yeah,
To their point.
yes,
To their point.
yeah,
However, the Nuggets are a very good team, and he averages 19
yeah, right,
and stays healthy.
yes.
Because we saw
We want
without
that.
him,
Yeah,
this team
doesn't
goes nowhere very fast. Even with Nikola playing at
of
MVP level.
course. I mean,
And I would say, we can get into it a little bit more. This roster is at a spot now where they're very talented, no doubt, and they're gelling at the right time.
yes.
I personally still believe they need to make a couple
We need
moves.
to add. No, we all do. This
Yeah.
is what we think. Don't let how they're getting or progressing get in the way of. We do need to add another body that is a good player.
And before we get into it, I do want to mention that Jamal, over the last 10 games, has shot 40% from the three-point line. He's had some of his better games. So
Yeah.
this game, if you've been watching the Nuggets, you would say, okay, I've seen him brewing like this, right? He's had games where he's led the team in scoring over the last couple games. Not specifically last couple games, but in that 10-game stretch.
Mhm.
He's found a rhythm. I think the Nuggets, and we can go into this a little bit too, is with Russ in the starting lineup, has also created easier opportunities for
Yes.
Jamal.
Yep.
He doesn't have to be so much as the number one point guard on the team.
Yep.
He can run as a shooting guard. Russ can get him easy shots. And now you see that also Nikola Jokic and Russ can get you easy shots. I think that insertion into the lineup with Russ has really helped him. It's helped Michael Porter.
Yes.
Michael Porter's been shooting at a higher clip. I think the Nuggets as a whole have been able to circle the ball a lot more with Russ in the lineup. So I think all that plays into this moment for Jamal. Not to mention, it's just one of those classic Blue Mamba games he has where he just takes over.
We told you it's
and
Blue Mamba.
when he does do it, there's no one on the basketball court that can stop him. He's going left hand, right hand, fade away, put backs. It's just
step back.
It's just Jamal at his finest. He's one of those players that when he sees that ball going to the rim, and he sees a couple of them go on the rim, he'll score at the best.
He shakes his head a little bit.
Yeah, he starts shaking his head.
Yeah.
I think he needs moments like this where it's like, hey, you're playing against Dallas.
Yeah.
You're playing on TNT.
Yeah.
You're playing, in Dallas.
Right.
Those moments make Jamal step up to the table. Whatever, and it's been like that his whole career. I just think sometimes he just doesn't care about playing Detroit, even though who's been an exceptional basketball team this year. I just don't think he always gets. Well, I say exceptional on their standards. They're 21-18. We can get into that later.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to get my receipts on this podcast because I've been talking about Detroit. But anyways, I do want to say that I think Jamal gets up more for these type of games.
Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt, and I think that's the kind of the thing about him. The Nuggets shot 22 free throws last night. I think this season, with the way that Russ plays, they have been getting to the line a lot more, I've noticed. Even though Dallas had the same amount of attempts from the free throw line last night.
But Luka wasn't out there, so he would have got his fair share of them.
And Kyrie's
coming back.
He did play 30 minutes last night. He was 4 of 18. 4 of 18 from the field, 0 of 3 from the three-point arc. But you guys sound like Mike Malone. You held him under 100.
Yeah.
You're going to normally win those games.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've been trying to say this off pod for a couple weeks now, and I keep getting interrupted by you all. So maybe now that we're on the pod, it might be a little bit more cordial. I truly believe that this is the most mentally fit Nuggets team of this last 5-year run.
And because?
And I know that you guys say, well, they won the championship, and that team might have been the most talented, most skilled, and the best team. No doubt. They won a championship. That banner will hang forever. But this team is so mentally sound. You look at the game Sunday versus Dallas, or the 10 games I could think of when they've come back from 10 or more points.
Oh, gosh.
There's not a mount or an obstacle in front of them that I don't think this team can overcome. And that's why I think that's going to be so beneficial come playoff time and down the stretch, late mid-March into the playoffs, where they are just so mentally fit and ready for whatever. They've seen it all. Even
Yeah.
Westbrook has been to the finals. He doesn't have a ring, but he's seen it all in this
Yeah.
league.
And he's
And
hungry to get one.
This
Let me
team
tell you
is
that.
battle tested. They know what it takes to get to the mountaintop, and they know what it takes to defend the mountaintop. Even though they were unable to get there and defend their crown,
Yeah.
they knew what every night that you had the bullseye in your head, and everyone's gonna be coming for you. That they're 100 every night, and that night off you take against Detroit, or take off against Milwaukee, or take off against Utah. You can't do that
No,
anymore
you can't.
because you guys are the champs. They know they've been through that. They've had a season of that. And this season is the culmination. You see it on that court where they are just mentally sharp and they have the championship pedigree. You see it in droves this season. How many times did they come back from 10-0?
Yeah.
And they get down a lot. They were down, what was it, 25 to 5?
25 one time. Well, Dallas
Sunday.
first they were down
Sunday,
19
on Sunday.
They came all the way back. And they
And-
went 17
But the
and
thing
they come
is,
all the way back.
even as a fan watching it, I don't get
Yeah.
worried
But you
because
know
I
what's
know
funny?
they can make a 17-point lead disappear.
I still agree. I'll agree with you in the fact that Jamal's become more mentally strong. Jokic has. Then you add Russ. You have Michael Porter that's mentally strong. Christian Watson's
And
been a
AG.
dog from
AG.
life.
He's
AG.
been hurt, but
So that is our team. But I will still push back on that because I think the championship team, obviously, just what they had to get all the way to the finish line. That team was very tough mentally when it comes to Bruce Brown. And I think the bubble team might obviously be one of the most mentally strong teams we've ever had as a Nuggets team. When you think about how they came back from 3-1, had to go into Orlando, play in the bubble, all the things that come with that. That team was just incredibly mentally strong. But I get what you're saying. This is another mentally strong Nuggets team.
Yeah.
We'll figure out towards the end of the year where it racks up in the pantheon of Nuggets teams.
Yeah. Well, it's foundational because all the ones you mentioned ahead of it that we had to pull up by our bootstraps it shows. It's a building blocks, and we're here. We have an opportunity with Joker that we don't want. This is going to be my intake into this next conversation. We don't want to misuse his talents at his prime of his basketball life. So we need to add.
Yeah. And before we go into adding, I think we also need to talk about just Aaron Gordon coming back.
Yeah.
How big that is. And Aaron Gordon just being Mr. Nugget and bringing that to us. I'm glad to see. It'll be interesting to see what that starting lineup looks like now that we've seen Russ in the lineup. Personally, and this might be, people might push back on it, I would start Jamal, Westbrook, Michael Porter, AG, Nikola. Bring Christian Brown off the bench, who was our key player. He was basically 6-man, 7-man on our championship roster. And I would keep a short leash, right? So it'd be like, all right, Russ might play for that first 4 or 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Christian Brown comes in quickly. You know what I mean? So if we're gonna do it, I'd do it like that.
I think they have statistical data that
and let them figure out what the best starting unit is. If we're gonna do that, that's what I might say. Because I think Christian Brown has been better at being a 6-man. He understands what it takes. Where Russ is now really seems like he understands the starting lineup and works really well with them. That would be my switch if it has to happen. Because Aaron Gordon's in the playoffs, Aaron Gordon has to be in the starting.
Oh, he has to.
I also think this season you've seen the emergence on this Nuggets roster of DeAndre Jordan. And you made mention of it last night, Dot. The fact that he's getting minutes, he got 16 last night. He's turning back the clock in many capacities. And you see the chemistry he has with Russ.
Yep.
And he's blocking shots.
Yep.
He's dunking. He's
Still
dunking
on the
on
ball. Yeah.
Can I add one to his? He's assisting. This dude looks like I don't know what people get around Jokic just passing the ball, but he's made some great passes. You can keep going down what you're saying.
Yeah.
No doubt. That was great point to add. I just think that he's playing so well, and you see the playoff rotation kind of come into formation. I just hope that we can get into this later on in the show, but I just hope our front office recognizes that there needs to be a move that needs to be made.
Well,
and if you need to move a body, I think he wears number 3 on the Nuggets, and you can kind of push him to Brooklyn.
Well, I think you
push
have
him
to move him
Toronto,
because
push him somewhere.
he is one of the
Can you
biggest
tell the
pieces.
audience who him is in case you don't know numbers?
Yeah, Julian Strawther. I love Julian Strawther. It's not even that I want him off the team. It's more so that if the Nuggets are going to win this year, we need to add veteran depth.
Yeah.
We need to add scoring off the
So
bench,
I
they're
just
gonna want
consistency.
someone who
And I think
has some potential.
And I think what you
that's why
saw
you're saying that.
with the guy in Minnesota, Memphis, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but he used to be on the Nuggets last year, deep bench.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's getting real minutes and he's hooping
Key?
out. Not Key. It's a tall guy.
All right, we'll figure it out.
30. He wears number 30 on the Grizzlies. But anyways, he's having a great year.
Well, then we can.
And I think Julian Strawther is going to easily be a 20. It's 17 to
if he gets some
22,
playing time,
23.
he gets not.
If he gets 30 minutes a night, that's going to be his. That's
Yeah.
going to be his new ceiling in the NBA because he's that talented.
Jay Huff.
Jay Huff. I think he's that talented. The question just becomes on this Nuggets team as it's currently constructed.
Yeah.
Can we get veteran leadership? Can
Yeah.
we get an extra shooter, defender guy that's going to come into the
That's
team
consistent, has been consistent for
that
years.
can help us grow and win?
We can see some names.
Now one name I would love to see on the Nuggets is obviously CJ McCollum. I would
CJ
honestly
McCollum
love to see CJ McCollum come to the team. And we'll get into this when we talk about, buyers and sellers at the time. But I think, all right, yeah, we can go. Well, no, because I want to talk about Nuggets Rockets too.
Oh, okay.
But no, I just want to. I'd say all that to say that CJ McCollum would be a good person to this team. I don't know how we get him, what we need to offer, second round, first round, whatever. You bring him in. He's a 15, 20 point a night game with Russ and like we said, DeAndre Jordan playing part of the center. I think that move has to be made for us to get there. It could be Bogdan, who's currently sitting on a bench right now because he's hurt a little bit. But someone like that is who we have to bring to the Nuggets to get this team where we already are, where Chris talks about how mentally tough they are.
Right.
That next level, that championship where we want to go at the end of this year, we have to add pieces to it. We have to.
No, it's if you pay any attention to this team, and especially if you work for this team, I don't know how you don't see it. I personally would love Cam Johnson from Brooklyn.
Wow.
And the only reason I spotlight Strawther is because he's young and he is talented.
And you can get something
as much
for him.
of a headache he is sometimes. If you're an opposing GM listening to this podcast, he's not a headache. He's actually
a very nice guy.
Best young man. He's a great in the community. He's an excellent teammate. That's only for those GMs. But back to this fan talk. As much as of a headache he can be at sometimes and his trucking and ducking and getting burnt on defense, he does have enough upside that a team that are looking to develop a new young core and slash ties with some of those a bigger contract or someone who's a asset piece for them, a Cam Johnson. You can package him. You could package Najee because Najee's definitely has fallen off a cliff over the last couple of years.
Well, he hasn't gotten a lot of play either, but
he's another name that could be he could be a 10 to 12 guy.
And then maybe some picks or whatever it is.
Gone and he got better. I'm sure Najee.
These are players. These are all players I'll root for on a different team.
I think the problem is that when you have a championship team, there's going to be dudes that can't develop, and it's not. And you got to get in where you fit in. Like Christian Brown was able to do that because all he does is play defense, and all he does is energy, and all he does is cut. With Jokic, that's a perfect combination. Perfect. But when you're somebody like Julian Strawther that needs the ball to get cooking, you might need to go on to a team that's going to allow you to cook. And same with Zeke. Zeke is just largely playing time. His thing is he just has never been able to carve out enough playing time. He never has been able to be the backup to AG in this lineup the way we play. Because remember we were talking about that last game. It's like Russ being inserted into the lineup gave the Nuggets another element of offense that when Jokic, now you can have multiple things going.
Michael Malone knows how to over the first and second quarter keep some people in, take Joker out, stagger it in, and that's why I said, what your thing about Russ going in the starters, that's fine, and it's statistically proven out is that when he plays with Joker, is his whatever.
I just 18-3 when Russ is in the starting lineup or something like that. It's something crazy like that.
Him and Joker in the same thing together.
Throw something out there because all this trade talk and giving them space to develop talk has made me think of one person, and you guys both know who that person is, Mr. Bones Highland. I remember not having the space or the time to develop and not having enough minutes on the court. All that stuff, that was such an issue with him. You know, his first year in Denver, he averaged 19 minutes.
Yeah.
The next year, he averaged 19 and a half minutes. Got traded, obviously, we all know this. Since
Wait. He not only did he get traded, he got traded to a team how they treat you, how they're supposed to treat you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All
They
that.
flew him out there on
Yeah,
on the
that's how you're supposed to be treated.
Yeah, how they treat him. But here's how they treat him so much. His minutes since then, the remaining of the season he got traded was 18.9 minutes per game. The next season, 14.6. This season so far, 11 minutes per game. And when his first year in Denver, averaging 10 points. Next year in Denver, 12 points.
And we'll go to all.
And then when he got traded, it was 10.8. Last season, it was 6.9. This season, 7. So there is point to what you're saying about, I guess what I'm saying to that is the grass is greener. And no one's doing this. I'm not saying. I think Julian Strawther would die a Nugget. He hasn't tried to.
Yeah,
none of these names we put
guy.
up there. No one has tried to do that. And Bones is the last person tried to get out of this system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking back on how well it's ifs. We're doing ifs and hypotheticals on this.
Mm-hmm.
If he swallowed his pride, mind you, he was 22 at the time. He's a young man, didn't know better, but still forced his way out of a great situation. Into a very less favorable situation. He would have been a champion, would have been very serviceable for us last season and this season. So that's just something that was
You're
worth
saying
noting.
I
also think that I'll say go ahead. I'll get what you're saying. I think the only thing with Bones is that he also forced himself into a situation where he was never going to play because they had Norman, they had Russ, they had James Harden, and then they added him. And now there's no excuses. Like now you should be on the court, but back then he forced himself into a advanced. And PG was on that team too.
Looking ahead to
he was.
He was.
Well,
PG and Kawhi. That was
just
too
to put a little
too many
bonus.
talents.
Are you saying that if he could swallow his pride and they went to him, that he could come and fill this gap for us that we're talking about?
I mean, there's a little bit of that. Miss Jays, always say the Nuggets don't go back; they go forward. That's something you say offline all the time to me. Because if you want to play that card, Malik Beasley would have been excellent.
Yeah, of course,
here. And Malik Beasley's like top 3.
Yeah,
in
and he's a
Detroit guy.
Yeah,
and he's one of the reasons
I just
Detroit's
don't think they're
winning. He's scoring out of.
They got vets. I'm telling you, when you have a core nucleus like the Nuggets, you need vets. Like you need solid go-getter.
And that's why. And
guys.
I've seen. I'm gonna beat the drum. If my hierarchy of players, I would want. Number 1 is Cam Johnson from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
And number 3, I don't know. I like the Bouchard guy who's kind of names. It was something came out. Yeah, something came out earlier this week or late last week from Toronto. That the Nuggets.
He's not from Toronto. He plays for Toronto.
Yeah, he's the last player from that 2019 championship team, still on their team currently. He's been
you're describing
those for about 12 years. But he's not a. You don't get him and be like, oh, we got Bouchard, so we're going to the championship. He's not one of those players. He's just a serviceable vet off the bench who could give you some solid points, solid minutes down the stretch. And
so
maybe
you think Cam Johnson would come off the bench? Is he coming off the bench?
Absolutely. He would be. He would be the 6th man, 6th, 7th.
Right. And I know that CJ would come off because
but in both cases, those people would make our bench so dynamic.
Yeah.
And when you look at. If I was a front office, I would look at everything. Game 7 is the microcosm of where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm.
You're at home, you're up,
I know,
and you need to sustain it. And when it starts to slip away from you, who is on the court with Yoke and Ball?
Yeah,
that is making those buckets.
Right.
Who is making those stops?
Or making activity.
And when you and when you saw the 2021 Phoenix Suns. He was one of those depth pieces.
No, I agree.
That allowed them to get to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen when he left after that KD trade, he was a part of the KD trade. They've never been the same because they don't have that depth.
Mm-hmm.
He's a piece that comes on, and he is. He's been to the finals, so I don't feel weird saying this.
Yeah.
He is a championship piece.
Yeah.
CJ McCollum's more of a splash, and you're gonna have expectation because now it's like you got CJ, you got Westbrook, you got.
But we know
that's going to cause national attention. There's going to be a new learning.
To me, doesn't have.
Nuggets. What more national attention do the Nuggets need to win a championship?
I'm not saying it's national. I'm just saying from a national perspective, it might be like a weird one, and they're going to still have to figure out their dynamic down the stretch. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with that because I understand we got the big fella down there who you said earlier, Doc, anybody can play off of him because
Yeah.
just how he facilitates and how he likes to play the
Sure.
game of basketball.
Yeah.
You plug and play with that man, and he's one of the top 10 best players of all time.
We started. Go ahead.
But here's the thing: the people you're naming, do they have rings?
None of them.
Then they're going to play their positions.
Yeah.
And they're vets, and they know that the time is wasted. And they're on it with Jamal and Murray and a Joker who they have already gotten their rings, and they know they could get there again. They know what they're going to. I think they'd be thrilled to be in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Then you have Russ. You would have a Cam or CJ or somebody like
We
that.
have gluttony of riches at that
Yes,
point.
that really
Because
would
we
wanna
don't
go.
need a lot. Like, obviously, Jokic almost beat the best team in the world
Right.
ever constructed
Yes.
in the Nuggets. I mean, and in the Olympics. The Nuggets don't need a lot, but it's
No.
just we want to win championships.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you gotta keep making your team
We
a
want
little
to win
stronger.
championships and not waste Joker's life,
Yeah.
his basketball lifetime. Come on now.
Yeah,
While he's at his peak.
let's get into the Nuggets versus Houston because I think this game does matter because Houston is literally second in the West. I know people probably aren't paying attention
And
to
Memphis
them.
is third. And
They're 26-12, and the Nuggets are 24-15. We're coming off a back-to-back. However, I think this is a big game for the Nuggets because we can jump up, obviously,
yeah.
and Houston's
We'll
young,
get the
athletic, and playing
tiebreaker.
good
We'll have the
basketball.
tiebreaker.
So, what's your thoughts, Christoph, for this game tonight?
Well, Houston, looking at it, they have won 7 of their last 10. The Nuggets won 8 of their last 10. So both the teams are coming in hot. Houston, they're young, but they're sneaky very good.
Very good.
And they were my team last year. I was banging the drum for. And they have a healthy Sagoon who's Jokic light. He's baby Jokic.
Really? You think?
Man, that's how he plays.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see tonight, you'll see tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's baby Jokic. They run their offense through him a lot, but then you have Jalen Green, and Fred VanVleet and others who actually play and ascend above their weight class. So, and then they're well coached. So they're not surprised that they're here. They're kind of young and up and coming. I think I think OKC last year was a year before they were supposed to, a year before they were due.
Mm-hmm.
I think Houston, if I'm being honest, they're right at where
Right on
I
time,
think
yeah.
they should be. Will they be able to carry it post tonight down the stretch into February? I mean, excuse me, the latter half of January,
Mhm.
February, March. That's to be seen. I do think they're good well coached. They have a pretty decent schedule the rest of the way. And they play in a division that's not super scary. You know what I mean? They have Memphis ahead of them, and then they have Dallas looking up at them. San Antonio can make some noise, and the Pelicans are garbage.
I'm saying.
I think you have a ripe opportunity for the Nuggets to look at one of the top 2 teams in the West, top 3 teams for sure, punch them in the mouth, and say that you guys are on your way, but we're here.
Well, I hope Jamal is not
too
tired tonight because it's a back-to-back, and
it's a travel back-to-back.
Yeah, and he gave all his energy away. So hopefully he either, if we see him hit that first shot,
State, you're pretty solid.
yeah.
No, but you're going back to Denver.
I was in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's in Denver. Yeah.
But I would say no to this point. Who we need to watch out for?
Yeah, on that team.
I would just say, I guess less than watch out, but also just talent. Amon Thompson, he's become one of the best defenders in the NBA over the last. He's been in the league 2 or 3 years now.
This is second year.
Second year, he's already moved up to one of the best defenders in the NBA. You have Dylan Brooks who can play defense. Their leading scorer is Jalen Green, averaging 21 points per game, and then as you said, Sagoon is 19-10 on the year.
I got a point.
With
When you said
five
Dylan
steals.
Brooks. Jamal showing.
I know. Jamal's going to show up.
Jamal's
His
showing up.
countryman.
That's his countryman, and him and Dylan Brooks always go at it. So I feel better now already.
And I think people should.
I feel better.
I think people should give their flowers to Jalen Green because I know for a while people were scared that he wasn't going to pan out the way he is.
He's coming for that check. He's still on
Yeah.
his rookie deal, and he's hooping out right now. We'll see how it goes.
What I would say is the Nuggets are big, bro, so they need to beat the Rockets. Let's switch into not Nuggets. We'll just go a little rapid fire here. Cavs dominate the Pacers. Was there anything you saw there that you appreciated? Cavs are officially still the number 1 team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Record-wise, they came in and beat the Pacers. Anything you seen there?
I'm gonna say this. they remind me of the OKC of the West, East, whatever. They remind me of the same. They're the same kind of team to me. I know they got some big guys in the middle and the center, but OKC is without Chet, so it kind of remind they hit a lot of threes. If those three balls aren't falling, they are not going to win. So if you get a team, I would love to see Denver in their best self and their best defense play them, because I think they could shut those 3 points down and then they can win. I think that's how you have to beat Cleveland. And I think
they can beat Boston.
7-game
series.
No.
Okay.
No.
I think this is a get off the pot season for Cleveland. Last year you guys were good. You guys have been making noise in that 4 or 5.
They have.
And you guys have made the jump to being one of the top tier teams in the East, but also the NBA. You guys are a lot in a little, a lot of wins, a little losses. What is it, 34-5, 9-1 in your last. You had a very long winning streak going into when the Pistons beat you guys on Sunday. And the Pistons are a great team too. They've been on a winning streak as well. I don't know. I think they shoot the ball well. I kind of mirror everything Jay just said. They shoot the ball well. And the team who's going to run them off or defend the 3 balls the best.
Yep.
Or play them when they don't have it going for them.
Yep.
But the regular season for me, Cavs have already proven over the last couple of years that they can play in the regular season with as currently constructed. This season they've obviously taken a step ahead. I'm gonna wash this regular season because all that matters for me to give you guys credit is winning the playoffs.
Yeah. And if it's a lot of basketball left, but they'd be playing either Detroit or Hawks or Heat in the first round. Then they'd probably play either Magic or Bucks. So they should get that first round win, and then you're running into Giannis or Magic
you
or
do.
playing good
That's a
basketball, and then you
buzzsaw
see it
right there.
happens. Let's go to, obviously we talked a little bit about it, but the Thunder, they're also the number 1 team in the West. Anything to say there? You think Nuggets still got struggles against them, or just wait?
They had a good draft. They had a good pick up with Chet, but he can't keep healthy. And so they thought they solved that center problem. And maybe they have.
They
But
picked up Hartenstein too. That's who they would consider. They're 9-1 in their last. They're 9-1 in their last 10 too.
I'm not thinking that's going to change things for me, because when you
Yeah.
run up on against those big centers, like, I'm not talking they're going to be there, but like an Anthony Davis or of course Joker, just somebody or Cat. And when you should get to that point where you get over there and play them. You just don't. The center position is just crazy good in the West. So
And if the playoffs, again, a lot of basketball left, but if it ended today, they'd be playing the Timberwolves.
That's a tough first.
well, they got
That'd be
Gobert. They have Gobert.
That'd be a funny
There's my point.
first round matchup, seeing as
I would still take Oklahoma City because I think they're the toast of the
Yeah, I
West.
said that
And you could go back to pod number 1.
Yeah.
I've been high on OKC, and I think the Nuggets have to make a move to be able to knock them out. If the Nuggets make the move, I think the Nuggets will win the championship. If they don't make a move, they will not win.
I said this at the beginning of the year. The Nuggets, only team that can beat the Nuggets in the West is going to be the Thunder. And to Christoph's point, we make some trades at the All-Star. I'm still thinking the Nuggets are going to take the Thunder. But right now, that'd be the only team.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very flat out from here into the end of the podcast, or end of the season, shall I say. If the Nuggets make a move, they'll win the NBA championship. If they don't make a move like last season, they won't win the NBA championship. And it's very, this world is full of gray. For me, this season, it is very black and white.
Yeah.
Do the Nuggets make a move or do they not make a move?
Yeah.
And that's as simple as it is. The Nuggets don't see them again until they have back-to-back both nights in OKC on March 9th and 10th.
God.
Wow.
But they
OKC,
play them just like they just played Dallas.
yeah, but they even worse because it's like Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
At least they could
Who's
hang out in
scheduled
Dallas.
I
which
know.
I'm
They
pretty sure
scheduled them a
enjoy.
win.
So moral of the story, the Nuggets
And
have a
Monday.
couple of those because they got back-to-back.
They knew the Nuggets and Thunder
New
were
Orleans
going to be
too.
top teams in the West. Why would you
Yeah.
loosen the product
not,
down?
I don't know.
Not make it
Just
fair.
like a click.
not make it fair
At
if you
it-
look
a
at
No, not about
It's-
fair. It's just like that's a marquee game. You're just gonna have them play back to back on. It's just dumb.
A quick glance, though, the Nuggets have that 3 times for the rest of the season. They have back-to-back home, but it's 2 of them are on. One is on the road. That's the Oklahoma City one, and then they have 2 at home. So February 3rd and 5th, they have New Orleans back to back. February 10th and 12th, they have Portland. So
Yeah.
it's
Portland
just
beat
I
us
think
last time.
I think it
Well,
I think
first time, long time.
I know. I was just saying that back to back thing is kind
Yeah.
of
And I already say that we didn't have all our stallions
I think
either.
OKC's the toast of the West. I think they're maybe the toast of the league. That game a couple weeks ago, I think last week or 2 weeks ago against Boston really showed me that they're here to go. Although Boston was very much so on a back to back, travel logged, whatever it is.
Can't really ask y'all. I know this is not Nuggets, right? This is
not Nuggets.
Okay. The reason why I said that is like we're forgetting like Boston won. You know, we're doing
Well, I still
offense
say
like somebody did that.
I guess I didn't say it, but I think Boston will still win the East. And I think you were leaning to
Oh, yeah.
I think it's very simple.
And next week we'll see Cavs versus Thunder again. They played like a week or two ago, but they'll play again next
The
week.
only thing that gives me some pause, but I still say Boston would be the champ, the East person in the conference is Giannis.
Yeah, I knew you were
I mean, he is playing his butt off.
I would put the Cavs, if I had to guess. This is not hater to Cleveland. I know we got listeners all around. I still would put them third in the East of who I think will come out of the East.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think that game at the top of the thing is hopefully it'd be wonderful to see. There'd be Giannis and the Bucks.
You convince me. Okay, you convince me over Knicks.
Then I was gonna say they're probably fourth to me. Then who I trust come out the East.
Yeah.
If I put the Nuggets at 2,
no, so you convince me.
I put OKC number 1 in the East. I have Boston number 1. Milwaukee number 2 the team I trust. Then I would slot the Knicks in, and then I would slot Cleveland.
They
I know
playing better.
No, I'll say
it has nothing to do with playing better. I say playing better.
Cleveland, I
just
believe
think
in
when the game. Sorry, when the season tightens, we all know like now you can win 60 games because you're athletic. You hit threes, but what about from game 1 to game 2, game 2 to game 3?
Yeah.
When Tibbs says you're gonna have to beat us with the interior.
Donovan,
You're not gonna have threes. We're gonna take away one of your players.
Bridges,
we're gonna do something.
Guarding
you know what I mean? When they start running you off the 3 and they're giving you backdoor layups, and you got to start beating teams with 2s and not 3s because they back to backs or whatever it is. That's why I'm like, is Cleveland built for that?
I'm saying it's OKC.
I don't know.
But no, we're talking about East. We're talking about
OKC.
We're talking about East.
I know.
I do. I saw them play last year.
I'll say this.
They have
Cleveland, you're number 1 in the East. I don't call it a fluke. I'm gonna put you over the Knicks right now, but that doesn't mean that I can't change quickly because I think the Knicks should still be better.
There was
the Knicks should be better than
to get out of the East, even more than Cleveland. But I'm saying you're number 1 in the East. You're playing great basketball. I respect you. But I got you at 3. I got you at 3. I still because I got Giannis above you, and because guess what? Giannis has got out of the East
and won a championship,
and Tatum's got out of the East
and won a championship
and won championships.
Yeah,
that's why I got you at 3.
Since we've been on the pod, there has been a trade in the NBA. Phoenix is acquiring center Nick Richards from the Charlotte Hornets.
Chris with the Woj bomb
for Josh Okogie. So Josh Okogie is a player I actually like, and that's why I even brought it to the attention of this pod because Josh Okogie is now in Charlotte. Charlotte is also very how should I say this? They're 8-28.
No, it's good. I'm glad you brought
that means that you probably can get a Josh Okogie for not that much if Charlotte's ready to share.
What's his position? I'm sorry. What
he's like a small forward. He plays defense. He's like one of those scrappy guys.
I would like him on the team.
He's not as good. He's better.
Not good.
Oh, I know he's not.
But he's like one of those.
You said not as good. And you said better.
I said KCP is better.
Oh, okay. KCP. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Josh Okogie's like one of those players that get under your skin because he plays good defense.
Yeah.
If the Nuggets were able to finagle him out, pair him with the Cam Johnson or CJ, that's like one of those depth pieces.
Yeah, he's another
piece. If they could get 2 of those, like a big name Cam Johnson, everyone's paying attention, and Josh Okogie on the backside of that, I would love that. And that's why I even brought it up because I'm not familiar with Nick Richards' game. Sounds like there's a lot of issues going on in Phoenix with Nurkic. He's kind of been relegated to 3rd string. I've heard chatter in the Nuggets Nation that they want to bring back Nurkic.
He won't.
Personally, I'm not big on that because I like how DeAndre's playing right now.
He plays above the rim. That's why I like DeAndre more.
I know Sarge is in the doghouse right now, but like Sarge,
honestly, he can trade Pete too.
Sarge
Yeah,
and
Sarge is a
and
trade piece
Nurkic
for me.
are pretty similar in my brain at this moment.
He's the name that you hear on. It's kind of the same thing we did this summer.
Let's
You
do
hear
this.
his name and you go, and I was gonna say, you hear his name, you go, hey, Sark is pretty good. That's not a bad
And then
pickup.
then he
That's
couldn't
why you
fit
get rid
in.
of. But I would say we're gonna talk about this anyway. So thank you, Christoph, for getting into it. But buyers and sellers, who do you think are buyers? I'm gonna start. Who do you think are sellers? Because we just saw. I would have said Hornets anyways. But Hornets. Who else do you think is in the NBA? Just call out names.
Hopefully Toronto.
Toronto. Christoph.
Big hopefully is Chicago.
Chicago. I'm gonna put another one in and say New Orleans, Pelicans. Anybody? Any other teams? Kings might be sellers too.
They just getting back one. They won 5 or 6 in a row.
Christie's
They're playing better now.
They won at least 5 in a row, I think.
Okay,
Since
so
Mike Brown got
Utah's always sellers, but they're also they don't have much.
We used to be every time we got somebody we got from Portland. I don't know how they're.
Utah got all the picks and all they got. That's gonna be hard. Portland's got to be sellers, but also they're developing their team.
Think that
Portland's developing
the fact that Danny Ainge is sitting there just like
acquiring,
being Thanos and collected all the Infinity Stones in terms of him just getting picks and whatnot. You would think that he would part way with like a Colin Sexton or a Jordan Clarkson,
maybe
for a
Jordan Clarkson.
Why would you keep him? Jordan Clarkson's making a lot of money.
Yeah, but then we can't get him. If he's making a lot of money, they're not gonna come.
But on a 1 year, he's gonna be expiring contract.
Oh, we just rent him.
Jordan,
that's talking about rents.
All we're talking about is championship this season. He makes $14 million, and he's 32 years old. I think he's a piece.
Huge.
I think he's a piece. He's not a part of their future. I don't think he's more a part of the past of where they when they played us in the bubble. He was on that team.
Derek White had to play his role on the team. He's a defender. He can hit some shots. He can do all. He does everything else.
You know what? I'm gonna co-sign you on that. I mean, obviously, Derek White has become even better because of all the things he's done.
Yeah.
But I do think I think Jordan Clarkson is that kind of player where he plays better than you sometimes think. You don't think about him all the time. No. But every team has always loved him on their team. That's one of those. And I think Derek White's the same when he's with
and Derek White got better when he had talent around him. He could just do his thing and he contributed.
Yeah, some dudes are they're not necessarily the main guy, but
but you put them with the main
players
guys.
and they're the guy.
They bring it.
I was gonna say any others for buyers. So those are sellers.
Those are buyers.
That's why I said we can get CJ McCollum. These are the people that we're saying. But as for buyers, please, number one has to be Nuggets. Please let the Nuggets be number one.
Please, we're begging.
Outside of that,
I'm not saying.
Sounds like the Suns are buyers.
Before we move off the
Warriors say they're not buyers. We'll figure that out later.
Well, here's what. Before y'all move off the Nuggets because we want them to be buyers. Let me tell you who they cannot move. Are to me the top 6, 7, because I'm putting P. Watt in there. It's our starters, whether it's CB or Russ, so that's 6 and P. Watt.
Everyone else is on the team.
Everyone else.
Everybody else. I definitely agree with that.
I would have put P. Watt in before he started playing his mind.
I think he plays. I think we have to have P. Watt because he's a wing defender.
He's a wing defender.
He's a quick. I was gonna say a 3 and D, but he's without the 3.
He's a spring and 3.
He can hit threes now.
I mean,
I've seen him hit threes in good games and then made a difference.
I know they all. It's somewhat hit threes.
He's every now and then. I think for buyers,
Do you agree?
I keep those guys.
Absolutely. I think most Nuggets fans would agree with that too.
All right.
I honestly think it's not gonna happen because they're in the same division. But if the Pelicans want to move Zion, any one of the 3 Texas teams would be a great landing spot. Houston, Dallas, or San Antonio. Those would be great landing spots for
them.
But
you can't give up too much.
I'm highlighting what do the Lakers do. The Lakers are sitting here 3 games over 500. They need to start doing stuff. I know they've moved D Russell earlier in the season. What are you guys doing there? Truth be told, I'm a Nuggets fan, so I could care less what they do. Honestly,
but up to the people in LA though.
But exactly, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But like, what are the Lakers gonna do? That's a
Golden State in there because whether Steph thinks they should or not, they should be buyers.
They should, but doesn't sound like they're going to be. I look at a team like, here's an interesting one for me. The Pistons.
Oh, they're buyers.
Do you think you go get a piece to solidify that playoff spot?
They're buyers for sure.
Because you look at what's happening in Miami with Mr. Butler.
Well,
that's a sinking ship.
But I think that's the piece that you want to make, but it might cost too much for your team.
It's going to cost incredibly too much. But here's the thing, it's a lose-lose on both sides because both of them are bartering from a point of weakness because the world knows that Jimmy Butler doesn't want to be on your team.
Right.
And you know that to take on Jimmy Butler, you're going to have to give up what Dot just said,
Lots
way too much
Yeah.
money, assets, players. It's just going to take a lot to get
So he'll
someone
be
who
the
may not
deadline,
sign with
he'll
you.
be there till July.
So if that's the case, you're just tanking Miami. So
Yeah.
if I was a Pistons fan, I would look at them and be like, thank God, because they're the only team above us. And we're a half game back of getting out of the play-in. Let's go see if we can snag someone from, I don't want to throw out names, but let's go get a Kyle Kuzma. Let's go get a Jordan Clarkson. Let's go get somebody who can push us over the edge and solidify that 6, 7, 5 spot.
Kuz is an interesting piece because I think Kuz could come off the board.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, Jordan Poole could be off the market too.
And I don't think we said this yet, but if you really think about it, there's incentive for people to tank this season because you have a number one pick. You have a definitive number one in Cooper Flag who's hooping down at Duke right now that teams are salivating over. And they might look at there and be like, well, I'd rather get draft capital this year to get into the sweepstakes for that gentleman than toil away where we are.
Well, we didn't talk about some people ahead of us. We didn't talk about, do you think Houston is a buyer or Memphis is a buyer?
I said Houston. I think only Houston if they could get Zion. And then Jimmy Butler said they want it there. But I think Houston probably looks at Jimmy Butler and says, I might have to give up too much.
Yeah.
I think the Zion one, I don't even think he's on the table, to be honest, and they're probably not going to trade in their division. So, excuse me, both of those are very...
What about Memphis?
Memphis, to be honest, I'm going to be very pixelated.
We haven't seen him.
I don't really watch Memphis.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I can't honestly say I watched Memphis
the biggest thing they got back, they got Marcus Smart and they got
Ja.
Yeah.
Those were two people. If you told me last season, and I was big on Memphis coming into this season, I knew they were going to be back because they were a top 2 seed for the 2 years prior. They lose Ja for a season, and they were banged up. They were not great. Those were their 2 pickups. They got Ja back and they got Marcus Smart back.
Yeah.
So obviously they're in a good spot right now.
3. They are.
My thing is that I'm gonna start paying more attention to Memphis when they start playing the Nuggets more. And then obviously down the stretch when the playoffs get there. But I mean the Clippers are another interesting team where they're like middle of the road in the West. They're 5 seed. They could trade. I doubt they trade away assets, but they're gonna at least be trying to get some assets. So those are some teams to look at. Let's go to the 2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining.
All right, well, this is our first episode back from the New Year, so happy New Year's to everybody. Hope
Happy New
2025 is off to a great start for you. Let's go around the horn for New Year's resolutions for the Nuggets. What's one thing you want to see from the Nuggets?
We haven't said it enough yet.
I know, but maybe you can be more specific. Maybe you can say this what you want. So what is your New Year's resolution for the Nuggets?
My New Year's resolution is to not wear out our team starters before we can get to the playoffs where they need to play with, and then to make sure they're all healthy. So if that means playing Jamal less, AG less, and Joker less, MPJ as well, do it please, Michael Malone. That is my wish or hope or goal for the new year for the Nuggets.
So how is Jamal gonna make the All-Star, be the best player in the world that people want him to?
He's not. I don't care if he's all.
I'm not joking. I'm just.
Oh yeah.
You know, people like you need to be All-Star. You
No.
score 25.
You know,
how
I
you
should
do all that?
listen to my pod. I was like begging him to put him
20
in there.
minutes.
I said, please put Jamal. He deserves all that. I don't care if Jamal ever is an All-Star. I want him to be a champion, 2-time champion, if not 3-time. That's
All
what I
right,
want.
Christoph.
I'm still not gonna invoke his name. My resolution, I will
Good.
hope that the front office
That's what you call it.
watches the team, how fans, specifically the co-anchors and co-hosts of this pod, watch this team and see that they need something, and they actually pull the trigger on a player. You said be specific: a Cam Johnson, a CJ McCollum, a Jordan Clarkson, the dude from Toronto who would just be an asset, a Josh Okogie who would just be an asset. Just do something. You know, last season you had a championship team and you just needed to make one move. You made no moves. and all the moves you made in the offseason accounted
Mm-hmm.
for 0 points when you needed it most in Game 7
Yeah.
at home. So,
You
front
need a
office,
bench player.
please make one move.
You need a
That's all.
player who's either, I don't want to call him a bench player because I want to be good enough that if you have somebody go down in your starting,
first
you can put him up there. You
Up
need
and
somebody who can play, up and down. So and those guys you mentioned surely can.
But
okay.
Jays, my expectation level is so low. I just want a warm body. I just want to see you.
Is
He's
he
in
in Toronto
Toronto.
still? Is he
I just
playing?
want to
or is
see.
he-
I just want to see you make a trade,
Yeah.
so I know you're live.
Okay.
You know,
and not being arrogant.
I'm being
and-
very cynical
Yeah.
here when I say this. Like, I don't care who you trade for. I just want to see that you have the capability of doing it.
But how do you? Here's the thing. I'm gonna go down this path with you. How do you live with yourself knowing that you sat still for 2 years straight, and as everyone else got better around you, because you're thinking your team is that good? You're fooling yourself.
I
You
think
just are.
I think Dot had this point off pod a couple weeks ago. You can't go for a championship. You can't go for it all and plan for the future
No, you can't.
all at one time.
No, it's
Those
tough.
are two very different mindsets and ideologies and move sets to do it. You're taking two different processes at a goal. If you're going to a championship, you're going to win now window, which the Nuggets are in.
Except
you need
for-
to get talent and depth, right? When you are going for the future, you need to develop and give them time. And those are two very different things. And you're trying to do them simultaneously, and you can't do that.
Except for the fact that you can do what you're saying to some degree because you have Joker. Joker has many more, in my mind, seasons ahead of him. So if you could do both, you could say, okay, my future is my starting five, okay, and I want to add to them and I want to get championships. I think you can say that because they're young. MPJ's young. Jamal's young. Joker's young. Okay, they got the people are now. I'm not saying LeBron; he's 40, but people are playing well into their 30s. So come on, they are your future. Get championships. Be a dynasty.
And speaking of championships, my New Year's resolution is Mr. Russell Westbrook, the Brody, finally gets his championship. Finally hushes all of the naysayers, all the haters, all the people that said he doesn't play basketball the correct way, and all the he's Westbrook and all that BS that's ever been put on him. And they realize that he's always been who he is, and that's a top 75 best basketball player in the world, officially stamped as a champion. And then it would just be James Harden as the only one that needs to get a championship.
Out of Oklahoma City.
But yeah, that would be mine because I think Russ deserves it. He's been
And he
true
really is a
basketball
good teammate coming in, being he's just gelling with the team. So he's not a distraction. He's an improvement.
Perfect. Well, the Nuggets are on playing Houston tomorrow. By the way, tonight.
Tonight.
By the way, Bruce Brown is playing. There's a pulse. He's got 20. He plays like 29 points a game, or 20 minutes a night for the Raptors. So.
And what's his
available? I'd say yes. Anyway, from the Just Nuggets podcast, I am K. Colley.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter at Just Nuggets Pod. Just Janet, thank you again for another episode. Christoph Yallich, thank you for another episode.
The Nuggets.
And as always, go Nuggets.